Welcome, friends and fellow light keepers. I hope you've been following me along. I'm Linda Potter, author of Ziklag, A Den of Safety, and it is available at Amazon.com. But I hope you've been enjoying the reading along with me. This day, for me, it feels like a really good day to read a story because it's kind of, the autumn's in the air and the clouds are dark, and I had challenges in my humble little living room with the lighting to get it right. So anyway, I hope we enjoy Chapter 7. In Chapter 6 we read, the title was Kaylee Prepares. And Kaylee, one of the Ziklagites, in prayer over those who had left Ziklag, in mourning over her siblings leaving, God had told her to learn the art of battle, how to wield a sword or whatever. So it works out really interestingly because Revealer told Kaylee to not tell her brothers about it, who were the marksmen, the swordsmen of the area. And there was a very good reason, as it turns out in Chapter 6, why she needed Marcus to teach her, because he took it on a different slant than her brothers might have, and she wasn't very good with the sword. So he figured out a different method for her, and it's really interesting. And her brothers get to meet Marcus. And Marcus is a defector from Regal's camp. Regal is the enemy force, and his son is Magnus. And Marcus had defected from their camp because of Andro, one of the Ziklagites, and his witness. So I hope you enjoyed it, and if you haven't, please start with me. I started, of course, at the beginning, and we're at Chapter 7, so welcome. God bless you. So Chapter 7, the title is Greystone, the Land of Compromise. Armina, we're talking about Armina in this chapter, and she is one of the defectors from Ziklag. She's one of the siblings. So we'll catch up on her side of the story here. Armina ran her bath after breakfast. The large tub welcomed her as she sank down into the bubbles and warm water. I love this room, she thought as she looked around. A marble sink and countertop displaying beautiful gray and black veining sat atop an unusually wide cherry vanity. The vanity was large enough to hold all of a normal person's clothes, like a dresser. Armina laughed when she thought about it. More than half of that thing is empty. The oversized tub, placed in the corner of the room, had a window above it that overlooked a forest, totally private. Armina soaked and watched the birds fly back and forth from the trees. This is the best place for me. I have everything I want and freedom to enjoy it. I come and go as I please. I shop whenever I want to, and this apartment is comfortable. And Magnus, now remember, Magnus is Regal's son, the enemy's son. Magnus pays for everything. I know he truly cares for me. He is so attentive and cordial. He takes me out to eat, shows me off to his friends. He's proud of me and thankful that I'm here. He understands my values and stays with his father at their house. He's so respectful. Armina surveyed and savored her great life. Magnus, a stunning man, tall and muscular. Magnus's face was perfect by anyone's standards. Strong, chiseled cheek and jawbone, eyes hooded, just enough to provide mystery to his face and reactions, leaving the onlooker unsure of his reaction. He wears only custom-made clothes with the family insignia decorating every shirt somewhere. On some garments, the decoration is small and indiscreet adornment. Other garments must have been designed around the emblem. Smiling came easy for Magnus. The world was made for him. Everything he saw he owned, and very little disturbed him off the battlefield. Magnus's confidence and secrecy attracted people. No one knows my family business. It's not their business. It's our legacy to protect what is ours, and only those standing beside me in this endeavor will know anything. And all they will know is the portion they are involved in. My father and I are the true keepers of the kingdom. Only we know and understand the mechanics required to keep it in our grip. And we will keep it in our grip. Generations prove that this family will keep the world in our grip. Magnus's sincerity, coupled with his amazing intellect and charm, paved his way golden. Magnus courted Armina with such determination and magnetism, he easily won her heart, lock, stock, and barrel. He studied her intently. He learned what she liked to eat. Magnus knew her favorite color and book. No detail was too small to learn about him. He was captivated to a degree. He loved that she slept late and took a bubble bath every morning and would not answer the door until perfectly made up and dressed. He was intrigued she wasn't impressed with his position, and she never showed an ounce of fear over anything. Fearlessness fascinated Magnus. Armina was the first person he knew intimately that lived fearlessly. Armina, unaware of her captivating beauty, never saw herself as outstanding and able to occupy any man's heart. She didn't know that her olive complexion and beautiful brown hair, almost black eyes, tugged at the hearts of men. Her height and form and quiet style gave her notice. She didn't know that Magnus's friends thought she was perfect and gorgeous. Her kind and amiable disposition attracted everyone. And without a doubt, Magnus said and did all the right things. I know I've been busy lately, but you haven't felt neglected, have you? You know I will make it up to you. What do you want to do? Do you want to go shopping? Let's go to dinner after that. Put on your best. I'm taking out the best. I'm showing you off tonight. One day with Magnus easily turned into a week, then 2. How long have I been away from Ziklag? Armina wondered. A month? 6 weeks? I really should visit Ziklag. She set her sights on Ziklag. I will go home soon. About this time, Magnus traveled on business and was gone for days. Armina, in her loneliness, missed Ziklag even more than usual and considered this the most fortuitous time to leave Greystone to see Kaylee. She knew Gunnar had seen her a few times with Magnus, and at this time of day, Gunnar and Guy would be away, and she'd have a chance to explain everything to Kaylee. I am sorry, I never explained my feelings for Magnus to them. I knew they would try to change my mind. How foolish. They thought that I had to leave my relationship with Revealer for mine with Magnus. They don't know I still believe in Revealer and have a close relationship with Magnus. He really doesn't care about my beliefs. He loves me just the way I am. Comforted and assured by her thoughts, Armina readied herself. a little nervously for the visit to Ziklag. She made sure her outfit was exquisite, a sheath dress, just above the knee, medium blue with lace sleeves. Simple open-toed sandals and a bag that would pull the whole look together. She wanted to show Kaylee how well Magnus took care of her. Her hair, her speech, and the makeup came together quickly. Wistfully, Armina glanced around the apartment. Not everyone lives with the finest the world has to offer. The silk brocade chair was ordered from lands she'd never heard of. Everything in the apartment she picked out and loved. All of it, completely a reflection of her tastes, and made her feel comfortable right away. In a strange and incomprehensible way, Armina was sure that Magnus loved her. She truly felt she had seen into his heart and witnessed him sincerely communicate his love and protection. Humming and thinking about her apology to her family, Armina grabbed the put everything together bag on the bench and closed the door. Thankfully, the air was crisp and exhilarating as the sun peeked in and out from the white clouds moseying by, making the walk very pleasant. I know life is perfect right now, but it will be even better when I have a chance to apologize and to talk to everyone in Ziklag, Armina mused. The sidewalks gave way to country sights, and Ziklag could not be far away. No, Ziklag is never far away, Armina thought with great happiness. She would finally have the chance to see Kaylee and set things right. She wanted everyone to be happy with her choices. Miss Armina, is that you? A voice called from a buggy passing by and pulling itself quickly to a stop. Yes. And to whom do I have the pleasure? Asked Armina. The buggy pulled aside, alongside of Armina, stopped, and a door swung open. Armina, do you want to come with us? Magnus is hurt badly and keeps calling for you. Oh, yes. Right away. Armina's heart raced and her stomach tensed as she stepped into the carriage. She interrogated the young girl in the buggy. What happened? Is he all right? The girl only knew Magnus was in rough shape. Armina had to wait for Greystone to get the rest of the details. Driver, hurry! Really? Get me there, Armina shouted as everyone stepped up the gate. The carriage pitched back and forth, and the passengers waited in silence. As they came to a stop in front of Magnus's house, Armina saw horses and buggies scattered throughout the drive. The fortress stood atop a story-high set of steps to the door. On her way up the stairs, at the entrance of the mansion, a bone-chilling, paralyzing fear blanketed Armina's whole being. Instantly, as though frozen, she had to pause. An overwhelmingly powerful force of evil permeated everything. Evil surrounded her and encompassed the very air she breathed. Palatable evil. It was felt. No, not just felt, realized, tasted, experienced, just being in its proximity. Armina stood with her head down, trying to survey this foreign ground. She had never come against such an evil presence. She acted like she was straightening her dress and bag, buying time to garner composure and courage. One thing the enemy should never see is fear. Armina learned that well from her Ziklag family. She had not forgotten her training. Wisdom told her Regal was waiting for her at the top of the stairs. Yes, what she felt was real and a person, as only a Ziklagite would do. She raised her head confidently and walked up the stairs, shoulders back, without an ounce of fear showing on her face or in her demeanor. Revealer is with me everywhere I find myself. I have to count on this, thought Armina. As Armina expected, Regal stood at the top of the stairs to the grand mansion. He was dressed for the occasion, stately robe, a flowing train behind him, announcing to the world his power and victory over lands and people. So, this is what it feels like to enter Regal's domain, thought Armina. And you are Armina. And why are you here? Tell me. I suppose you want to see my son. Really? You want to see my son? Shouted Regal, leaving no pause between questions and comments for Armina to respond. I am here to see Magnus, stated Armina firmly, with surprising courage. She felt anger over the intimidation tactic because although she had never met Regal before, he knew she and Magnus were seeing each other. In a quiet and eerie growl, Magnus said, "Be careful. Be careful, Armina of Ziklag. You are no friend of mine. Be assured that I know who you are. And as for my son, he wants to see you. I will allow that. Just know where you are. This is my ground." With that, Regal turned and walked away, leaving Armina to pause on the steps and muster up some more of the moment's precious commodity, courage. Armina silently cried out to Revealer. She didn't even know what to pray. Tears streamed down her face as she entered the house. Magnus? Armina? He's here and waiting for you. Come, come. Armina followed the maid through the foyer, a grand foyer, of course, one that opened to multiple stories of glass and light. The maid quickly bid her down a hall, through the library, and into a far wing of the house. There was a room full of doctors and aides scurrying around, each focusing on the task at hand. The next room, mahogany furniture and sculpture sheltered a bed in the middle of it. A perfect bed. Glorious spindles and turnings carved with care and dedication. Every carving told a story of sorts. Gods and the earth, the stars and moon. Lines and divisions separated one story from another. And in the midst of the grandeur, Magnus lay in bed. Magnus! Oh dear. My beautiful one, what happened to you? Sobbing, Armina held his hand. Bandages and ointment covered his face and arms. You must be Armina, an older man said. He's been calling for you. We're glad you're here. You might be just the medicine he needs right now. Magnus was found in a field outside of Slaven, unconscious, and as you see, beaten quite badly. You may have to wait a while before he's ready to talk. Just stay close. He'll call for you again, I'm sure. Armina sat for a while, but just how long she couldn't even guess. Numbness and fear swept over her again and again and had to be beaten back. Armina, you're here at last, said Magnus, sincerely glad to see her. Yes, I am, and I'm sorry I didn't get here sooner, she said as she gently kissed an unbandaged spot on his hand. My Magnus, what has happened to you? With that, Magnus fell back into the land of dreams and nods, and Armina gazed out a nearby window and wondered how the birds still flew back and forth as they did this morning. Don't you know everything is different this evening? Armina thought. Eventually, Magnus whispered to Armina, "Oh, Armina, I don't even want to tell you what has happened to me." And why not? I'll understand and help in any way possible, responded Armina as she quietly wept over the broken and battered person in front of her. I don't want to be the one to speak badly of your family. I know how much they mean to you, and well, you know that I would never do anything to hurt you. Don't I take care of you, and don't you have everything you want? Magnus asked. It's true. I know you would not harm me. But how could all of this have anything to do with my families? Said Armina. Oh, I wish. I don't want to even tell you what happened, stated Magnus. Please, Magnus, go ahead, Armina said. Magnus paused, authentically heartbroken about sharing the information. Armina, your brother Andro did this to me. It seems he heard from Gunnar about us and waited for me outside of Slaven. He jumped out from a cornfield and caught me off guard. I was weaponless at the time, and he wouldn't let me go. He said I should stay away from you and send you back to Ziklag. I certainly did not agree to that, and thus the terrible beating. Horrified, Armina couldn't believe Andro would do this. She dropped her head into her hands. Magnus said, I'm very sorry, Armina. I didn't want to tell you, and I surely don't want to lose you. She cried, and he consoled. Andro, of all people, away from Ziklag for years, dared to beat Magnus unmercifully and demand that I go back to Ziklag? Who is he? Poor Magnus. Weaponless, and Andro did this? Armina's anger flared as she tried to make sense of the situation. And Armina, just one thing, love, for me, please, don't leave Greystone. I couldn't bear anything happening to you. Ever since all this with Andrew, my biggest fear, I've been terrified that you might visit Ziklag and they wouldn't let you come back to me. Please stay close, dear, will you? Magnus weakly stated his request. Sleep gathered Magnus to its healing realm again, and Armina absorbed the silence. She longed to understand the reason for the beaten person in the bed. She never knew Andrew to be so unethical. Beating Magnus like this, a poor man without a sword? Nothing made sense in the whole situation. Armina sat by Magnus's bedside an eternity. Thinking and reasoning became a circular exercise yielding nothing. Finally, she had no choice but to favor the words and evidence of Magnus. Andrew was wrong. Hours later, Magnus gained coherence briefly. Armina informed him, I will stay in Greystone. If Andrew has done this to you, something has changed in Ziklag. And anyway, you need me to read to you while you're on the mend. Armina held his hand close to her face. He felt her breath gently sweep over his skin. Magnus won. Magnus easily won this round. He smiled. He smiled and I totally deceived her and got my way smile. Round 2 coming up. As Magnus drifted off again, he congratulated himself. I am my father's son. I have learned well.